You won't believe what's coming next on Coronation Street. Let's dive into today's drama. Summer Spellman from Coronation Street needs to hear that running away in the middle of a murder investigation will make her appear guilty, despite the fact that she is not. Summer decides to try to flee Weatherfield because DS Lisa Connorswain starts to think that Summer may have killed Theo Silverton. Prior to being questioned at the station, Summer's caught in a difficult situation when George Shuttleworth finds her journal. As he takes a look, he's alarmed to find a page that describes putting a gun to Theo's head. Star Harriet Bibby stated, "I think she's definitely panicked. I mean, everyone who was linked to Theo in any way isn't thinking rationally at all right now. I think that everyone is just trying to avoid suspicion and keep their heads above water." Then, when Summer finds this secret journal in which she writes her thoughts, I believe she is panicked because she knows it looks really bad. This journal does implicate her, so it is not a good idea for anyone else to read it, regardless of whether she is innocent or guilty. Therefore, I believe she is scrambling and grasping at straws to figure out a way to get around the fact that they discovered this journal that contained her darkest thoughts. After a tense time at the station, Summer is put in the spotlight again when George quizzes her about Theo's death. After that, George is shown what he saw on the crucial night in a flashback. Summer explodes in anger and immediately suggests that George killed Theo. However, things get even worse when George tells Christina Boyd that he has reported Summer's lies to the police. Summer flees the room in a state of panic after hearing Christina say that they will soon be after her. She bumps into Todd Grimshaw, who wonders where Summer is going with a bag in hand. She explains that she plans to return to her American university because she is concerned that the police will arrest her for Theo's murder. Summer plans to fly out that afternoon, but is she going to make her escape? Is Summer attempting to get away with murder or running away because she doesn't want to go to prison as an innocent person? Harriet stated, "There are a number of things stacking up against Summer and the story she has told so far. I believe she simply isn't thinking logically when she realizes that the police may be following her and decides that fleeing is the best course of action. I think she needs to get out of the pressure cooker." Summer's time on the streets has been horrible and traumatic even without Theo's death. Then to pile this on top, I think she just sort of explodes and isn't thinking logically and feels like she needs to run away. Coronation Street has revealed a preview clip from next week's episode, as George Shuttleworth and Christina Boyd make a shocking suggestion about Summer Spellman in the Theo Silverton death storyline. The duo knew that Summer was no fan of Theo's, but in this clip from Monday's episode, they realize her hatred goes much deeper than they expected. As they read about Summer blaming Theo for Billy Mayhew's death and how she thinks he's a monster, George asks Christina if she thinks that Summer could be the killer. "It's often the quiet ones, isn't it?" Christina states as Summer walks in. When she discovers that they have been reading her diary, she accuses them of stealing her belongings without her permission. It's quite a comical scene, with George and Christina snacking as they read the diary, and most people would be furious if someone read their diary behind their back. But could the couple really have discovered the dark truth about Theo's death? Next week, Summer will have a lot of serious scenes as she considers whether it would be considered an admission of guilt to run away to the United States to study at a university. When Lisa Swain discovers a piece of evidence that places her at the night's crime scene, the suspicion against her grows, and she is taken into custody for questioning by the police. George also remembers some details about that night that make Summer look even more suspicious, though she manages to turn it around on him, which not only raises some red flags about his whereabouts on the night, but also Christina's. Harriet Bibby, who plays Summer, makes a convincing case that the killer could be her character, saying, "Theo stole Billy away from Summer. He's also taken a part of Todd, because he's not the same guy as he once was." It boils down to the question, would Summer kill to protect what's left of her family? Tonight, a shocking photo appeared to place suspect Gary Windass at the scene of Theo's death, shattering the alibi of the suspect. After spending the episode under pressure from the police over deleted CCTV footage, Gary looked like he might finally be in the clear. But by the final moments, one picture changed everything and made him the most sought-after suspect. Maria became increasingly concerned over Gary's strange behavior and started asking questions when he continued acting out of character. Trying to calm her fears, Gary claimed he was simply stressed over sorting out his VAT. But Maria soon began worrying that he might actually have killed Theo. Gary then confessed that he'd done something stupid, and admitted smashing up Theo's van on the day he died. Things quickly escalated at the bistro when DS Swain arrived and took Gary in for questioning. During the interview, Gary faced questions over his hatred towards Theo as well as threatening texts he'd previously sent him. Attempting to explain the missing CCTV, Gary told the police that the builder's yard footage was routinely wiped at the end of every week. But the police said that they had a tech who knew how to get deleted footage back. For a brief moment, it looked like Gary had escaped trouble when Maria suddenly provided him with an alibi. She explained that she and Gary had been together at the yard that night and had asked him to erase the footage so nobody would see their private moment. But the twist at the end of the episode completely changed the situation. A photo taken by Tim and Sally after Carla and Lisa's wedding appeared to show Gary emerging from the scaffolding in the background on the night Theo died. Gary becomes prime suspect in Coronation Street next week's Coronation Street spoilers reveal that Gary's problems are only just beginning. Kit and Lisa make it clear that they no longer believe Gary's story is true after seeing the picture. The pair head to the builder's yard to search for more evidence and also inspect the scaffolding poles. Although the police still fail to recover the deleted CCTV footage, Lisa admits they don't currently have enough evidence to formally charge Gary. Despite that, Kit warns Gary not to get comfortable as he remains the #1 suspect in the investigation. But was Theo really killed by Gary? Coronation Street's latest ITVX episode on Friday saw Danielle Silverton make a shock confession to Todd Grimshaw as the fallout from Theo's death continued. After spotting Todd in the Rovers, Danielle pulled him aside for a private chat as the pair reflected on their complicated relationships with the late Corrie villain. But things soon took a more emotional turn when Danielle admitted the truth about what life with Theo was really like behind closed doors. Danielle, Theo, Miles, and Millie Silverton once looked like the perfect family unit before everything fell apart when Danielle discovered Theo had been cheating on her with Todd. After learning Theo had hidden his sexuality for years, Danielle directed much of her anger at Todd and accused him of tearing her family apart. She later moved on with Noah. But tensions escalated when Danielle blamed Theo for attacking her new partner and causing his death. The situation became so explosive that Miles and Millie eventually cut contact with their dad altogether. In the weeks leading up to Theo's death, Sarah arranged to meet Danielle at the bistro. Todd's safety was becoming a concern to her. Hoping to find out whether Theo had ever hurt Danielle during their marriage, Sarah tried to get some answers. At the time, Danielle insisted Theo had never been abusive towards her. However, the conversation was abruptly interrupted when Theo and Todd arrived and shut the meeting down before Danielle could say much more. Danielle admits she was scared of Theo in ITVX episode. In today's early ITVX release of Coronation Street, Danielle finally softened and opened up properly about her marriage to Theo in a raw confession. After meeting Todd in the Rovers, the pair headed back to George's place where Danielle spoke honestly about the past. She admitted Theo had once been a good dad and said there had been happy moments in their marriage. But Danielle also confessed that Theo controlled much of their family life, even if he never physically abused her. Danielle then revealed she had secretly been frightened of him and had felt too intimidated to ever speak out about it. In an emotional moment, she apologized to Todd for everything Theo had put him through and promised she would support him if he ever needed anything. Danielle pointed out that the two of them were the only people who truly understood what Theo was capable of. But after everything that's happened, viewers may still be wondering whether Danielle's change of heart is genuine. Has she finally realized Todd was caught up in Theo's behavior too? Or could there still be another reason she wants Todd on side?